Welcome, everybody. Here we are, episode 13. Welcome to, you're not unmuted. Welcome to Where's Your
Sorry.
Coach podcast. That's okay. My name is Linda Melanson.
I'm Karen Alexander. Hi.
So it's now so nice to have you all here. So Karen's going to get started with the Schumann's resonance.
Yeah. So there's really not a whole lot going on. It's pretty much the same as what it's been the last couple of weeks. Like there's not, just that little bit of variation. So we know that there's something going on, but there's really not a whole lot. Today on the last week, we had the 5-hour blackout, which I still don't know what that was in Italy. And today we are at a power of 16. The hertz have gone last week anywhere from 7.30 to 8 hertz. So really not a big fluctuation. The only place that's really, really interesting is that South Africa, where it was flat for so long. And now the power is just so high. Like again, today, we're up to 479.5, the power of 479.5. So, and like on February the 5th, it was 616. And the 15th, it was 435. It went down to 185 on the 18th, but it's back up to 479. And the rest, like the other 6 places in HeartMath, mind you, HeartMath is 2 days prior, right? So the last I can get is the 21st. But the rest, like the fluctuation is not really big. It's kind of just, yeah. So, and, February was I don't know about you, Linda, but February was supposed to be such an intense month. And I really didn't feel a lot. I really didn't.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I mean, I've had a few ups and downs. The other day I felt a little vertigo, which I don't get that very often, although I am doing a cleanse right now too. So that could have a lot to do with it as well. But,
right.
So
Yeah.
you're right. Like it's not been an intense kind of month where you're
not the way we expected, right? Like
Yeah.
everything was lined up to be so intense. And so what's going on with the moon right now?
So we're just going into our full moon phase. So full moon is more of an active energy for us here on planet Earth. We're just coming through a Cancer phase. So when we're going through Cancer phase, emotions may be a little bit higher. Your self-indulgences may be a little bit higher, but it kind of went with this. So when I do the moon, I talk about different planets that are also affecting the moon's magnetic pull, right? So when we're going through Cancer, there was Mercury was also square the moon as well. So we may have seen this feeling to want to overindulge in certain areas, but it would have also come with this willpower with it to know your limit. So it would have been a time of seeking a little bit more truth. So we're just coming out of that. Now, today, we are switching over to Leo. So the moon is switching over to a Leo influence. And this phase now, when we're going into the full moon phase over the next couple of days, so the full moon is in exactly 2.6 days. That's when we switch over to full moon. We're just going to be coming through Leo, but right now, this phase is we're seeing a lot of our spiritual gifts. We're being able to get more in touch with that, which this is what I talked about last week too. The phase that we were in last week, it was very similar. But it's a time not to make last minute big purchases. We may regret this, okay, but we may feel an impulse to do it. So we need to hold back on that. We need to start focusing on expressing our truths right now. So we have this spirituality that's coming in and a need for us to express that forward and bring more of our authentic selves. So this is kind of the influence of this full moon that we got coming. You could see a problem coming in with authority over the next couple of days. So just be aware that if you're getting triggered with authority, just wait until the moon phase changes into Virgo and we'll see a little bit of a change coming that way. Um, we might see a little bit more of our confidence and need to bring our originality forward. So that'll be great through this full moon phase. And then on the 26th, which is on Friday,
Mhm.
we're switching over into Virgo. So now we're going into the full moon phase. This is a time where we might see a little bit of family conflicts happening over the weekend. Or irritation. We might be a little bit irritable by those closest to us. Um, but try to focus on that inner peace and keep, this is a time where we are able to face some of our insecurities, some of the things that are coming up for us through the Virgo phase. So use this time to your benefit to be able to move through some stuff that might be a little bit stuck in your energy field. Other than that, we might be a little bit hypersensitive and dreamy. That's what it's talking about. But other than that, that's it. Get your stones out this weekend. Do any of the clearing that we need done. Yeah.
Absolutely perfect. Yes, that's what I was going to say too. Get out your crystals, get that all cleaned up, and if it needs to be done, right? Good. So today, what we're talking about is dreams. So we're going to talk a little bit about sleep in the beginning, what happens during sleep, why we need sleep, that kind of thing. And then we're going to get into the dreams and how they can be influenced by whatever's happening in our life. Also, more in detail about how our dreams can help us with processing energetic information that we receive. Yeah, so that's pretty exciting. It's dreams are always exciting for me. And Linda wrote a book on dreams, or how to decipher the dreams, which was absolutely amazing. And Linda, do you have that book right there right now?
Yep, I have it close by.
There you go.
Uh,
Yeah. So it's dreams inside and out. And guys, I have to tell you, like I'm kind of getting ahead of myself because I'm excited about the dreams in Linda's book. It helped me so much because, I was one of those who had the Dreamers Dictionary and those kind of books and kind of looking at, what my dreams meant. Not that I dream a whole lot anymore, but I used to years ago. And I still do dream a little bit. And Linda's book really helped. We'll get into that again in a little bit. But to start, we're going to start with sleep. And why do we sleep? Logical. We're going to sleep to preserve energy, right? That's part of it. But sleep also gives us a multitude of benefits. So our physical body needs sleep. It needs sleep in order to recuperate. It needs sleep in order to regulate all of the body functions, right? So that's, yourself, if you are not feeling good, what do you want to do? You want to sleep because that heals your body. Sleep heals your body. If you're in pain, you want to sleep. A lot of times, if the pain is really bad, it's hard to sleep. But even if you look at in the hospitals, for example, if somebody has a terrible accident or whatever, and they're suffering in an awful lot of pain, sometimes they'll be put into an induced coma so that they are sleeping. You don't feel pain when you're sleeping, right? The other thing, it lowers the body, the blood pressure, brain functions. It helps with the immune system. It helps with our ability to learn. So there's a lot of health aspects with regards to why we need sleep and why we do sleep.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Yeah. In the national, I did a little bit of research like we always do. And the National Sleep Foundation says that we typically dream 4 to 6 times per night. Okay. A lot of those times we don't remember. Most times, what they say is that more than 95% of our dreams we actually forget. Mm-hmm. So, and if you're anything like me, you might wake up in the morning and you go, oh, yeah, I had a dream. And if you don't write it down right away or do something about it right away, by the time I get up to go to the bathroom, it's gone. Like as soon as my feet hit the floor, it's completely gone. Right?
And dreams only last 90 minutes long. And then you're usually go, because you're in and out of your brain waves the whole time you're sleeping. So you're moving from delta, theta, alpha down to delta. So you dream mostly in theta,
Mhm.
and that's where you spend most of your time while you're sleeping, but you'll go down into delta, which is your deeper sleep, where you're more restorative. So that's where you are doing most of your healing and your hormone regulations and stuff like that. And then you come back into your theta, and that's where most of the dreaming happens. So you spend about 90 minutes in there, and then you'll either go down into delta or up into alpha, and you're kind of moving like this the whole time in your brain waves.
Right, right. And they actually did a study in April of 2017. It was the Nature Neuroscience, the Journal of Natural Neuroscience, who had published it. And they talked about how they were monitoring the brain while people were sleeping. And they said that the majority of times it was they called it the hot zone, okay, the posterior of the brain. And what they predicted was whether, I'm just going to read it for you. Monitoring this posterior hot zone is in real time predicted whether an individual reported dreaming or an absence of dream experiences, suggesting that it may constitute a core correlate of conscious experiences in sleep. So, and that was published in 2017. So they've done a lot of studies and how dreaming and what we experience in our dreams helps with our consciousness.
Mhm.
So that's really interesting as well.
Mhm.
Yeah. And according to 65% of the elements of dreams are associated with the experiences we've had while we were awake. So there's all different kinds of dreaming, right? So, and it can be influenced in many different ways
Yeah.
by what we're doing, by what we're thinking before we go to sleep, if we're stressed, if we're not stressed. Obviously, if we're stressed, our dreams are not going to be as pleasant as what they are if we aren't stressed,
Mhm.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. And the mind is constantly, the subconscious mind is constantly trying to speak to the conscious mind. And so a lot of times in our dreams, what we're doing is we're switching. Um, uh, the subconscious mind is trying to help the conscious mind to understand and problem solve. So whether that is how to learn more efficiently, whether that is there's a problem, maybe these are solutions to the problem. And there's all different kinds of stuff that the subconscious mind is communicating to the conscious mind through the dreaming that we do to help
Mhm.
us problem solve and help us in our conscious mind.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I had we'll talk about the different types of dreams in a little bit, but I had you talk about the conscious mind and such. I did I read a book by Dr. Steve Jones. And he and I think Dolores can't, I'm getting ahead on the notes, Linda. Sorry, we're just kind of going with it.
Totally okay.
um, he talks about two distinct parts of us, right? So it would be our physical body and our astral body. And our astral body is ourselves, like, our higher self, or not our soul, our spirit, our essence in such, right? And our physical body. And both Dolores Cannon and many others, Dolores Cannon and both of them talk about how we leave our body at night. But the way he explained it was really interesting. He explained it as, um, if you think of it like there's a car and a driver, right? So the car is the vehicle, our body is the vehicle. The driver is ourselves, our essence. And at night, when we park our car, we leave our vehicle and we go home. And I thought when that was explained that way, it was, wow, that's pretty interesting, right? To know that every night we actually leave our physical body and go home.
It's the same idea as Avatar, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I love how that movie portrayed that so well, because it really is a very similar experience to that, right? So, and they talk about the silver cord that we have, which we talked about in previous episodes, that we have this silver cord that connects our higher selves to our body. We can never be disconnected, um, unless we go through the full death process, right? So,
Right.
a lot of times we get really nervous. It can be very overwhelming because sometimes you're half awake, half asleep, and you can feel yourself rising out, and it can be very nerving. You get very nervous by this feeling, but it's perfectly comfortable and normal. And if you can just get past the feeling and continue to let it happen, you have a very wonderful and beautiful experience in that.
Absolutely. And Dolores Cannon talks about how, in one of her talks, when she was doing a talk about, I guess uh, it was an hour-long talk anyway, and she was talking about the last book, that I don't know if it was the last one, but one of the most recent ones that she had written, and she talked about the Temple of Wisdom, and how every night, and in hypnosis, she'd seen that with clients, right? And how every night our soul leaves to go to the Temple of Wisdom, and how in the Temple of Wisdom, the souls that are there know which souls have already passed and which souls are from Earth, because of that silver cord, right? It's not attached when you're not alive. Obviously, when you are alive, when you're living your experience on Earth, that silver cord is there. And also, Dr. Steve Jones talks about how there's no fear in that ever getting severed while you are sleeping or dreaming, because it's not going to happen. The only time it's severed is once you die. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Patricia Callahan says, "Be sure to leave our bodies at night. Visited Justin Trudeau the other night and told him what I thought. I spoke very nicely to him, though," she says.
Yeah. And that gets into astral travel, right? Because you can actually meet people in astral. And I'm getting ahead again. I get right excited and I go ahead. Okay, so we're talking about how we can be influenced by our dreams.
Absolutely. And this brings me to this dream. I think I had told you about it the other night. I was dreaming that um, I was living in a situation. I had two kids, and then I went to the hospital
Yes.
very early in the morning, and everybody was still sleeping when I left. And we were staying with a friend of mine. And when I was at the hospital, I had all these things to do, plus pick up my car and come back and make sure I was in time for the kids to get to school. And when I came back, I wasn't back in time. And the kids were already gone. And this person was saying, "Where were you?" And I was like, I don't know. And in the dream, I couldn't remember what I did while I was at the hospital. And it woke me up in this panic of like, how could I not remember? And then I was like in a full blown anxiety attack. And it just, I'm going through this cleanse. So there's different stuff happening internally right now. So I know that the dream is also reflecting something that's going on inside of me, right? So our dreams are constantly working with us like that.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, any kind of anxieties or stress, like I said a little while ago, and like you said, what's going on in your life right now, if you change medications, there's all kinds of stuff that can influence our dream, right? Stress at work, where we work, oh, so many things. The mood we're in, like what we're thinking before we go to sleep, everything. Books we read, movies we watch, everything can influence our dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so are we talking about the different types of dreams? I kind of talked
Sure.
about the brain waves already, so we can go to the different types of dreams. Uh,
Yeah.
so dreams that involve different death experiences and different um, violence or being chased, it can be such a reflection of the deeper emotions that are running inside of you, of these fear experiences that you have, and the subconscious is attaching a visual to help you to either express or work through those in your dreams, so that when you're in your waking life, you're not spending time feeling these ways. um did you want to say something else, because I know that you had some
No,
stuff.
no, 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 that's okay. Go ahead.
And when we look at reoccurring dreams too, reoccurring dreams, if you're dreaming something over and over, you can be guaranteed there's a message. Okay, there is definitely something there for you to learn. And what we want to be doing here is each symbol that you see is very specific to you and your learning. And so you need to start figuring out what each symbol means to you very specifically. Because as you grow, your experiences are very particular to you. What a door or window to you may mean something else symbolically to me. And so we get into a very shaky area if you're seeing these symbols over and over again and you're looking to outside definitions to them, that you're not getting to the core of what is actually happening, because everything that you experience in your life is very particular and specific to you and your experiences and how you feel.
Absolutely. And a good example of that, Linda, would be for me, I am scared of dogs, you know.
Mhm.
And if I have a dream of a dog, it's going to mean something completely different to me than what it does to somebody who loves dogs. And
Absolutely.
that's just one example, right? So looking at dream dictionaries or whatever is or having somebody else decipher your dreams really doesn't, because your dreams are unique to you. When you receive messages, there you receive messages in the way that you can understand them. And other people don't know how you understand things,
That's right.
right? So
And it has more to do with the energy, like the emotion that you feel behind certain things
around.
in your dreams, because those are the actual symbol. That's the connection to the symbol. And then what happens here is the mind connects certain visuals to the emotions that you have, and a lot of times the symbols that you're seeing, this is the connection. And so that's why sometimes your dreams can be so strange, because the mind will attach very strange um, symbols to those emotions, right? The mind is so amazing in how it interprets life and how things happen around us. That these emotions and the symbols that they are connected to, um, how that carries so much information for you, the dreamer.
Mhm. Absolutely. Yeah. I didn't know if you wanted to go on with something else.
No, no, but let's see, what else do we have? So vivid dreams, when we're like waking up inside of a dream, very powerful art to be able to master. They say that people who are able to wake up in their dreams and control their dreams while they're happening. I worked on this for a long time and I lost sleep for months. It was like, okay, I can't, I'm not a lucid dreamer. I've tried so hard. And but at the same time, the dreaming, like the spontaneous dreaming, to me has much more value to my regular everyday life than trying to control my dreams. That's just me though,
Mhm. Yeah.
right?
And,
So
and, and it depends on the individual, right, as to which way you want to go with the lucid dreams and the astral travel. But yeah, so dreams are, let me see. Sorry, Linda, I was looking at the wrong thing there. Bear with me here.
that's okay.
Yeah.
But
So vivid dreams, like you're talking about, vivid dreams are dreams that you're very much going to remember,
mhm,
right? They're a lot easier to
yeah,
remember than, and the same as nightmares. A lot of time a nightmare is a very vivid dream. A lucid dream is a very vivid dream, usually, right? And the lucid dreams are where you can have the control.
mhm. So
Yeah.
usually when you remember a dream and it's really moved you deeply, that's an indication that there's a message for you. Because we can go months and months and months and never remember a dream. And that
Mhm.
happens to a lot of people. And then all of a sudden, boom, we have this dream and it's so vivid and you remember it in so much detail. That's usually an indication that there's something for you in that dream that your conscious mind needs to be 100% aware of. Um, I personally am a big dreamer, but I write my dreams every single morning. And this is another thing. Writing the dreams are so important. So when you have your alpha brain waves active, So as you're falling asleep, if you activate more of your alpha brain waves, which is just a matter of just telling your mind you want to activate more of your alpha brain waves, that
Right.
you'll remember more of your dreams. But when you wake up out of a dream state, you're in alpha brain wave state for about 5 minutes. After that, you're already starting to forget your dreams. So it's really important in those first 5 minutes of waking to make sure you have your pen and paper next to you and just write the dream down in as much detail as possible.
Right. Or your smartphone, whichever,
Or your
and record it, right? Which is what I had started doing. I don't dream often, but when I do dream, that's usually what I do. I have my phone, close, and then I just record, right? Same as meditations. When I'm meditating, if anything happens, I just record at the same time.
Mhm.
Yeah. So yeah, and you had said something there, Linda, that triggered something in me, and I can't remember what it was now. I don't remember. It's gone.
Oh,
It's gone.
Um, so we'll talk about prophetic dreams. Prophetic
Mhm.
dreams. You would be surprised at how many prophetic dreams you're having, but you just don't know it because you don't understand the symbols that you're seeing. And this I didn't really start to understand till I started to really analyze my dreams on a regular
Mhm.
basis, where I was like, okay, I'm actually like, I predicted getting my wisdom teeth out like 3 months beforehand. I was like, oh, and I didn't really know that that's what I was predicting until it started to happen. Then I was like, oh my goodness, I dreamt that. I dreamt that I was going to have a toothache, and I was going to, like, I didn't dream those particular things, but all the symbols in the dream was
We're
predicting
there.
that.
Yeah, yeah. And
Um,
again, so if you have your dream journal and you go every once in a while, go back through it and go, oh, then you realize, right? When you start to analyze and you really start to pay attention what your dreams are because you've written them down. I think I probably already told you, Linda, but when I was pregnant for my daughter,
mhm.
and for those of you that don't know, I was married before. I have two children from a previous marriage, and my husband now, we've been together for 23 years, I believe. In any case, he has two girls. And when I was pregnant for my daughter, of course, I didn't know him. We had never met. I had a dream that I gave birth. And when you're pregnant, you dream a lot. That's one of the studies as well, that they said when you're pregnant, when you're in grief, um, or when you're under a lot of stress, you dream a lot. And at this dream that I had, I was about 8 months pregnant, 7, 8 months pregnant for my eldest, and I had a dream that I had a little girl. And in my dream, I had this beautiful little baby girl. And then I had another girl who was probably about 4 or 5 years old. And I gave birth to her at 4 or 5 years old. It was the strangest dream. And then I had another little girl. And I remember, and the third one that I had was she was about 2 years old. And I remember the long blonde hair and the blue eyes. Both of them had blue eyes. And, I told my mom because my mom and I were really close. And I told my mom about this dream. And she said, well, that's really strange. And I said, but the strangest thing is they both had teeth, right? I could see their teeth. And that's kind of what told me how old they were in the dream. Okay. And it was 15 years later before I actually met my husband today. And his two daughters were the images of, at that time, the baby was 2 and the oldest was 5. And they were the images of the girls that I had given birth to in the dream.
That's amazing. Yeah. I love that.
So much can happen, and honestly, it wasn't until years later that I actually remembered the dream, right?
Amazing.
So it's our dreams are there obviously for a reason. They're to give us messages. They're to forecast what's coming in our future. There's so much involved.
There really is. And when we're getting prophetic dreams, sometimes we get the prophetic dream that where we see the details in very vivid detail. in the dream, and we wake up and we know that this is something that's going to happen. 9 times out of 10, there is a message for you within those symbols, and could be either how to prevent it, how to cope with it so that you are able to meet it, how to bring the message to somebody who needs it. So when we're having like direct prophetic messages, that too is a big thing for us to take note of, because we usually have the power to do something about that, either within ourselves or to help somebody on the outside. So prophetic dreams are really amazing things. Some people are just born and they're just prophetic creatures, like they just dream prophetically on a regular basis. It's such an amazing thing to me.
Mhm.
Um,
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And then there's daydreams. So there's all kinds of dreams, like daydreams, you're zoned out or you're lost in thought, whichever. And then there's astral projection, which are like my favorite.
so you're
Lucid dreams are fun too. I like lucid dreams. But astral projection, when you're actually coming out. Have you ever had any astral projection dreams, Linda?
only once, only
Okay.
one time. And
Okay.
it wasn't really anything of noteworthy. I was just flying over the power lines.
Okay. Okay. And the thing of it is with astral projection, what's really interesting is it's actually real. Like it's real. You can actually I one time when I didn't ask, I was astral projecting, and what happened was I don't remember leaving my body, but I do remember flying. Okay. So I was flying. I went over the ocean. I went over and I went to where my hometown is in Newfoundland. And I followed the road. Once I got to a certain place, I started to follow the road, probably for the last kilometer or so. And when I got to um, the street that I live on, it kind of comes up and then it goes around a turn, right? And when I came around that turn, I remember thinking, well, that's weird. Those houses weren't there before. Like that's different, right? And in when I got up the next day, like after this was all done, I got up the next day and it was like, oh, that's weird. Like those houses are not there. It was 2 years before I went home. And when I went home 2 years later, the houses were there.
Amazing.
So I don't know when they came because I didn't ask. I was just because you don't always want to. That was years ago, and you don't always want to talk about this kind of stuff, right? But I remember thinking, wow, that dream, I actually was there, like not my physical body, but my astral body was actually there in that place. And I mean, I've never actually met anybody in a dream from an astral projection, but I'm told, and according to the Dr. Steve guy, he did astral projection many times, and he actually met people in the dream, right? In the projection, to where they were both there, they both had the same dream. And have you ever had talking to somebody and them say, oh my God, I had that same dream.
Yeah,
Right?
well, I've never had that happen to me, but I've heard of that happening.
Yeah.
Actually, a friend of mine, she's a big dreamer, and I've helped her analyze some of her dreams along the way here. And she messaged me one time and was like, "Oh my God, me and this friend of mine, we've been friends for years, but we had the exact same dream on the exact same night." I was like, "Wow, that's pretty amazing," like.
It really is. It really is. Yeah. So there was something else I was going to say too about lucid dreaming. Oh yes. And you kind of, it's weird because in lucid dreams you can astral project, but you're not necessarily astral projecting in lucid dreams. And an astral projection can be a lucid dream, but it doesn't have to be. It's they can be the same, but they don't have to be. And this most recent one that I had, and I probably told you, Linda, was maybe a couple of months ago, I'm thinking. Lucid dreams I find happen easier when I wake up in the morning and I get up for half an hour or so, and then I go back to bed. So say if I wake up at 5 o'clock and I get up for 30 minutes or 40 minutes or so, and then I go back to bed, that's when I'll have the astral projection or the lucid dreams. So this one morning I had gotten up, I didn't sleep well. So I got up and I read for a little bit, and then I went back to bed. And when I went back to bed, I was, you know how you're just starting to fall asleep. You're not, you're not right out yet, but you're just starting to fall asleep. And it felt like my whole bed was being pulled out from the back. Okay. At the time, I was half asleep. It wasn't the bed that was being pulled out. It was my actual soul that was coming out of my body and how it felt. And then I was kind of going in a circle around the room. And there were just all kinds of things that were coming at me. It didn't last for long, not that I remember anyway. And there were certain things that happened, and I deciphered the messages and everything that were in that. But that was probably the only time that I actually felt my soul leaving my physical body. It was, it was weird. Really weird.
Lucid dreaming is when you're actually controlling everything that's happening in the dream, right down to the colors that you're seeing, the things that you're seeing, the like every aspect of the dream. I took a lucid dreaming course because I really wanted to learn how to do this. And the way that they explain it, it's almost as though you are creating the matrix.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is a big step in being able to actually create and manifest what you're looking for in your own personal life. And so like lucid dreaming is such a powerful way because you're connecting emotional images and connecting the emotions. So you're controlling the emotions and the image at the same time, and you're seeing and living that. Like one guy had explained it to me, explained in the class that he was able to, in his dream, he was like, okay, I want my girlfriend. So his girlfriend is there next to him, and we're walking on the beach. And I said, listen, watch this. And he turns the sky purple, and he turns the water red. And he what I'm saying? So this is like, you have complete control of everything that you're seeing in your dreams.
Mm-hmm. But don't expect to do that right away in a lucid dream.
Oh no!
Because the lucid dream is what a lucid dream is when you actually know that you're dreaming. So it's kind of like being awake in your dream. You have that awareness, but it takes practice to learn to be able to control what's happening, right? So it's almost like you can train your mind to know when you are dreaming. Right? If you do that on a daily basis, like say that you could pick, for me, what I do is I push my finger into the palm of my hand. And I'll do that to know whether I'm dreaming or not, right? So if you're awake in a lucid dream, or you are awake in a lucid dream, but when you try to push your finger through the palm of your hand, if you can't do it, well, obviously I'm not dreaming because I can't do it, right? But when you're dreaming, you can actually do it. You can push your finger right through. There's so many things that you can do to tell whether to learn and to train your mind to know when you're dreaming and when you're not dreaming so that you can control in lucid dreams, right? They're so interesting though. It's so interesting. And when you realize, or when you, and I don't know if it's, I guess it's kind of something that whether you learn it or it's just something that eventually you're able to do is control, right? It's so interesting because you can control anything. You can stop something from happening in a dream, or you can make something happen in a dream, which is again, processing all of the information and helping with the consciousness. Yeah. So interesting.
It is very interesting. Dreaming is amazing.
It is. Yeah.
All right. So we talked about astral projection. We talked about reoccurring dreams, daydreams, false awakening. This is really interesting. Waking up and then you're still dreaming, like you woke up in your dream, but you're still dreaming. That is something that happens to me quite often.
Does it?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah. Where I wake up and I think that I'm awake. So then I'm doing something and then I realize, wait a minute, I haven't woken up
I'm
yet.
still
Like,
dreaming. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's kind of like lucid dreaming as well, right? Because then you can program yourself to wake up.
yeah. And usually once you realize you haven't waken up, you just wake up.
Yeah,
You know what I
exactly.
mean?
Yeah.
So Patricia saying, my father in this lifetime is my twin flame. I got to visit with him on the 25th anniversary of his death. It was so beautiful. Of course, I woke up crying because he had to go back. Oh, that's a
Yeah,
beautiful story, though. But just the
that
fact
is
that you got
beautiful.
to spend that time with him in that dream state, that's so incredible.
Mhm.
And these are the
Yeah,
things that are so wonderful about dreams is they give us these opportunities to visit these people that we've been separated from.
yeah. And that's just a prime example of the visitation dream, right? And
Hmm.
we can do that. We do that all the time as well.
Yeah.
Visit, yeah, visit the deceased. And,
When I was pregnant with my daughter, actually, my stepfather, his sister, she was always a big deal in my life, like growing up, right? And she was always a big support to me. And when I was pregnant with Ella, I had a dream. She came to me, and she threw me a baby shower in the dream, and that the baby was born at this point in the dream. I was pregnant though, but and she made sure that everybody held the baby because the baby was, her family just as much as, because it was my stepdad, right? Like
right.
but like she made sure, she wanted to make sure that everybody felt like this baby was part of the family
Wow.
in the dream. I thought that was such a beautiful dream.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So nice. So nice. Yeah. So where are we? What else are we talking about here? Remembering your dreams. We already talked about that. Um, what else do we have?
Um,
We're kind of all over the place with it.
yeah.
The false awakening. Oh, the sleep paralysis. I don't know if you've ever heard of has that ever happened to you, Linda? Sleep paralysis?
Only once. Again, it's not a lot of things don't happen to me while I'm dreaming. I'm a spontaneous dreamer mostly. And I feel like that's because of I just feel like that's part of my inner growth and spirituality. So I feel
Mhm.
like spontaneous dreaming is where I go most of the time. But I did wake up once where I couldn't move. That did happen one time.
Okay. So that falls under the category of false awakenings, and it's really weird. It's really weird. And it's been explained to me, whether this is how it is or not, it's that your soul is not completely back into your body and you wake up, but you're not able to move. Now, we used to call it, and I don't know where it came from, we used to call it the old hag.
Okay.
So I don't know where that came from, but I do know that there's a couple of my family members who had it quite often. And if you say um, the Our Father, the Lord's Prayer, I guess it's gone like that.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Now I had it a few times, but I didn't know that at the time. But yeah, it was actually my brother who was one of my nieces was having trouble with it. And she was having like on a nightly basis, right? Or very often. And it was my brother who said, Mom always said that if that happens, say the Lord's Prayer. And she said, my niece said, like within a couple of lines, and it was completely gone. Now,
Amazing.
is it, and it's hard to say because when we dream we go to a land where there's no time, right.
Right.
So if our soul is not completely back in our body, we're still in that no time zone. So how long are we in that paralysis? It might be 20 seconds or 10 seconds, but it might feel like well, not a year, but it might feel like an hour or 10 minutes or whatever in the earth time zone, right.
Yeah. It's
So
funny too, because the thing that comes into my mind automatically is that movie or that TV series that they released a couple Halloweens ago, The House on the Hill. And the girl keeps waking up and she can see herself standing, or she sees this being standing with a crooked neck or whatever. And
Oh,
then
yes,
later
yes,
on
yes.
you find out that but it's that it just every time I hear sleep paralysis, I remember that. It's such a
Really, eh?
yeah, anyway.
Yeah, yeah, funny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
keeping a dream journal is extremely important if
very
you want
important.
to increase your dream recall, because the more that the mind can see that you're doing this, the more that it will give you information. And it's funny because if you remember the dreams that you wake up in the middle of, if you complete the
Yes,
whole dream while you're sleeping,
you
you won't
remember.
remember that dream.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
you remember the dreams that you wake up in the middle of. So sometimes it's like your mind will show like something in the dream will be like boom, and it'll just like wake you right up, like a loud noise or something like that. Or something in the outside will wake you up. And this is all because of your intention on remembering your dreams, right?
Exactly.
If we want to remember more of our dreams, we need to activate those alpha brain waves. That will help you to remember as well, but it's also writing your dreams down when they do happen. Even if you're just remembering little tiny clips at first, the more you work on it, the more you will remember.
Yeah, as you write, more things will start coming to you. Oh, yes, okay, that happened. Oh, that happened. So the more you write it out, the in that one particular dream, like the more you start writing, the more that's going to come to you.
Yeah,
It's like you remember as you go kind of thing, right?
yeah, exactly. Um, I was thinking of something else and now it's gone. So that happens.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh yeah. So
yeah.
if you want to guarantee you're going to wake up, set an alarm.
Yes.
Okay, so a random alarm that's not going to shock you too much, because when you get shocked when you first wake up, you'll remember less of what you were just dreaming. So remember how I was saying you wake up, you have that 5 minutes of alpha brain waves. But if you have a loud noise that pulls you out of your sleep very fast and puts you into a state of shock, it's gone. That's it.
Mhm.
You're right into your gamma and beta brain waves, just like that.
Mhm.
So you want
Yeah.
something that gently wakes you up, and then you can, make your little noise and then go back to sleep.
Yeah.
According to
And they've also done studies about, when you sleep during the night, because for the longest time they thought that it was only during rapid eye movement that you dreamt. But in the studies that they've been doing within the last 5, 6, and possibly longer, they found out that you actually dream in every state of sleep. From the time you start to go to sleep, like I was saying, you just starting to fall asleep. You're not into the rapid eye movement yet, right? And you can start dreaming. So
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. That's what I'm saying. You're constantly going between these
constantly.
waves and you are dreaming in every state. Just the
Yeah,
bulk of them happen in theta. Um,
absolutely. Yeah.
Also, like Karen had said, if you wake up and you're up and you go back to sleep within like an hour, maybe 2 hours of waking up, a lot of times you will have a very vivid dream in that time. And I'm not sure why, but maybe it's because it's an afternoon, or not always afternoon, but that time frame when you've waken up and you go back to sleep, a lot of times you have a dream that you remember quite vividly.
Yeah.
So Sylvia is saying, what do you know about dreams of the same locations over and over again? Different scenarios, though, and they are not places I've been to in the physical. Again, a lot of times when we're seeing the same things over and over again, there's a message in that. So you just asking your higher self what that is, or you can break down the symbols and kind of get to the deeper meaning of what that place means to you. Even if you've never been there, if you're dreaming about it, your energy system is going to pick up on that information. Is there anything you wanted to add to that, Karen, for that question?
No, 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 no. That's good. That's good. I was just reading another one that Patricia had put in there about according
Sylvia.
to Sylvia Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, copy. And which is kind of what I had said right earlier about us not being right back into our body at that time.
Yeah, and even though the same things aren't happening there, to me, that tells me that there may be a soul connection to that place for you. Even though you've never been there, there's probably a time when you did live in that location. And so the mind is, it's in the soul line, so it keeps taking you back there. Or it could be in a DNA line, could be, in your ancestral line, there could have been a time in your ancestors that you lived in that place.
Yeah. And it's always the same place, eh? She's at the same location over and over, different scenarios.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. And a lot of times too, the dreams that we're having, the energy around it is connected to deeper parts of ourselves than just what we lived in this life. And so that's why the emotional connections that you have to these things and the images, sometimes they don't make any sense because you physically, like in this life, can't fathom what that's all about. But a lot of times it does have connections to those past lives, even on a soul line or on a DNA line.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. One location I know is the fairy forest, but there's a couple of others that I got to go. How interesting.
That's so beautiful. I love that.
So amazing. Yeah. The fairy forest. Wow.
It's funny because I actually,
So
sorry,
go
what were
ahead.
you saying?
No, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was telling my daughter a bedtime story for many years of the three fairies, Wishy Washy and Wushy,
Oh,
and
okay.
they live in the fairy forest. They have all different types of adventures, but anyway,
Yeah.
I wouldn't know what to do if I woke up without dreaming. I vividly dream every single night.
Wow, that is so special. That's
Yeah, it
amazing.
is.
So, Tara, I have a question for you. When you were in the fairy forest, what form were you in? Could
Yeah,
you see yourself?
yeah. Let us know if you could see yourself and you could tell us.
Yeah, because that's interesting. I mean, that, that could be a past life, right?
Oh, absolutely.
That could very easily be a past life. So interesting. So interesting. Ooh, so
I just,
exciting.
yeah, I
Yeah,
just
so like,
the
sorry,
inner
go ahead.
child work. Sorry, I just did an inner child um, class, and I did one of my exercises when you go into the room, but then I take you back to the connection of that, right? So is it either a DNA or a soul connection?
Right.
And I went back to this like molecule. I was a molecule
Wow.
forming, and all of the inspiration that I had to have around that was like, it takes so much energy to go from a molecule to where you are. And it takes a lot of faith and energy. She says she rarely sees herself. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's the same as me. I don't see myself at all either. Yeah.
um but
Interesting.
yeah, so these places and these things that we see, they all have information for us in some way, shape, or form. So that's awesome, Tara. I would love to hear what your deeper aspects or connections to those are.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So interesting. Yeah. So yeah, so like Linda said, if you did want to do lucid dreaming, you can train your mind for your reality checks, right? So it can be you can. There's so many things that you can do. I mean, you can look it up too, right, as to what you do and check the time, because in a dream, the time kind of doesn't move as much, right, as when you're awake. So you see the time move. The other thing is a solid object, so you can touch walls as you're going through the day. Touch wall or try to put your finger through your hand or whatever. Looking at your hands is another thing to tell when you're awake and when you're dreaming, and then your breath as well, of course, right? If you plug your nose, well, if we plug our nose and we're not dreaming, then we can't breathe. So if we plug our nose in a dream and we're still able to dream, well, then we know we're awake in our dream, right? So that's ways of
Mm.
training our mind
So
to
Tara's
help
saying
us
she's
with
glad she.
training our mind to help us with learning how to do lucid dreaming, just lucid dreaming techniques. The other thing is what I had mentioned earlier is if you wake up, early in the morning or whatever, get up for a half an hour or so and then go back to bed, you're more likely to have a dream. And I think you mentioned that as well, Linda. You're more likely to have a vivid dream. And a lot of times it may be a lucid dream. And then the dream journal. And like you had said, Linda, when you were learning about doing lucid dreaming, you talked about how sleep, it can cause sleep problems, it can cause depression, it can cause all kinds of stuff, right? So you really have to be careful. And those are the cons of lucid dreaming. So you really want to be careful with that.
Yes, because when we go into a dream state, we're meant to be in an uncontrolled environment, right? So if you're constantly controlling everything, you're not getting that complete rest that you need. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I went through that. I was trying for months to do this, and it was like, you know what? I just need to let it go.
Just let it
If
go.
it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. I did all the exercises to get ready for it, and it
Yeah.
never happened to me. So oh my God,
Okay.
this is so interesting to me. I practically do this at least a couple times a week. I was actually an observer in one of my dreams, watching myself dive into deep waters. Oh, that's cool, Paula.
That's cool. That's fun, Paulette, when you can watch yourself. I feel like that's so amazing, right?
Mhm. It
That's
is
so
amazing
amazing.
because it's like you're two beings at once. You're going through the experience, but you're also watching it at the same time.
Exactly.
So
And
that's
that's the division, right? That's the two parts of ourselves, the physical body and the astral body that you can, oh, it's so amazing. Yeah. And
control
I
when it's
can't
happening.
control when it happens. It just does. And that's kind of the way it is with me as well, Paulette. Like it'll happen and I'll go, oh man, I'd like to have that happen again. But I might go months before it happens again. Right.
Yeah.
So, and I haven't really learned how to control um, lucid dreams. I don't know if that's something that comes natural after a while, or if I just haven't been able to control inside of the dream. I know that I'm awake
Mhm.
inside of the dream, right? I know I'm not awake, but I'm awake inside of the dream. So I know what's happening, but I haven't yet been able to learn how to control what's happening. Like you had said, Linda, about the guy who was in the course with you who could change the colors, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Or change the scenery even. Like
Or
that
change the
to me
scenery
is
or
incredible.
anything.
Like I
So
can't, like
incredible.
that blows my mind. I'm like, I never even thought that that was something that was possible.
Mhm.
But
But you know what though? I watched it kind of reminds me of the movie that I watched. What was the name of that movie? It was Robin Williams. It's an old movie and it was about how he had died in the movie. And when he went into the afterlife, it's kind of, and that's how they explained it. It was kind of like it kind of felt like astral projection or a lucid dreaming because you could change everything that you wanted,
mhm,
right?
mhm.
So really, yeah,
Yeah, and that's what they
really
say
amazing.
when you cross over too into the afterlife is everything that you want is like the second that it becomes a vibration, boom, it's done.
Yeah,
You know, I just have a feeling that you know, when you're in spirit state, the wants and needs are just not the same as when you're a human. It's
no,
not, you know,
no, no, absolutely. Yeah.
when
And
dreams
that
make them. Is
when
that a
dreams
book?
make them.
Oh, is that
Is that
that's
the
the movie called?
no, no, I don't think so. It could be, but I don't think so.
Mhm.
It was no,
Oh,
I don't think it is, Patricia. Okay. Hi, Robin. So Paulette's saying that she's almost always black and white or nightmare, except for whatever she's focusing on that is in color.
okay.
Oh, that's interesting.
That is interesting.
So it's kind of black and white in the background, and then whatever the
Right.
focus is in color. That's interesting. That's
Mhm.
really interesting.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep, it's on Netflix. That's what Patricia says.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. I don't recall what the name of it is, Patricia. I'd have to have a look. Maybe you could very well be right. I don't remember. But it was Robin Williams, and how it started out was he met his wife on a river on a boat somewhere. They fell in love. They got married. They had children. The children. I don't want to give away the movie too much, but anyway, Robin Williams himself ends up dying, and she's an artist, so I don't know if that's the name of it. I'll have to try to find it now. It'll be on my Netflix
So I'm
that I've
pretty
already watched. So,
yeah.
oh my goodness, it's 3 o'clock.
I know. I was gonna say I'm pretty excited about next week's episode because we're gonna be talking
Oh,
about the ego
Mhm.
And both me and Karen are on the same page when it comes to the ego. We don't
Absolutely.
believe that you shut it down. You learn how to use your ego to
Absolutely.
benefit you and your spiritual process. So we're
Yes.
pretty excited
Yes.
about this class.
Yes, because everybody, you know, you always hear when you talk about people who are into spirituality or whatever, not all of them, but a lot of them are saying you got to kill the ego, you got to kill the ego, and I'm like, no, you can't kill the ego. The ego is part of you. You have to integrate it. Yeah. So that's going to be really interesting again next week.
Yeah. And we want to do a shout out.
Yes.
I would like to shout out Anne Irene Teleris. Now, Anne Irene Teleris has started a page on Facebook. It's called Networking for Divine Change. She's brand
Great.
new. She just added me as an admin because I was doing an event that she truly believed in, and she wanted me to do the event right on her page. But if you are
Awesome.
somebody who is working at trying to get your name out there or get some classes going and whatever you're doing, this is going to be a great asset to do some advertising and getting your name out there. So, and you know, on a lot of these spiritual pages, sometimes it can be hard to find ones that are okay with you going on and promoting yourself, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, these pages are really wonderful. And I just think that she's just a great, wonderful gal anyway. So I'm going to post her information and her page and everything so that you guys can all get on there and have a look
Perfect.
around her site. There's all kinds of really cool stuff on there. So, yeah.
Awesome. That's awesome. I'm anxious to go look and see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anne Irene Talaris.
Anne Irene Teleras, Talleras.
ERAS.
But I
Okay.
will post the links to her page
Perfect.
and her name here on the page on the Where's Your Focus podcast page. So
Perfect.
you can
Awesome.
get on there.
Great. So thank you everyone for watching. Again this week, I know we have some regulars now. It's great to see you guys. We absolutely love what we're doing, and we love that you're here with us every week to watch. It's so encouraging for us, and yeah, we just love having you here. So
Mhm.
see you all again next week. Have a good week.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody.